How to get rich without starting a business? We're going to answer that question in this video. Okay, let's rock and roll. Let's make it happen. Let's talk about how you can get rich. And we're going to call it money rich without having to start a business. So my quick answer, and I'm going to go into great detail with this, but my quick answer of how to get rich without starting a business is ultimately you're going to have to become a very good seasoned investor. You're going to have to learn how to invest your money at some point in your life and have your money make money, in a sense, have your money grow, okay? And so being able to learn how to become a very savvy professional investor is how you can get really rich without having to do obviously a ton of work other than researching and getting into that. Okay, so maybe if you're watching this video, you work for a company that you absolutely love and you've decided I'm gonna stay with them for a while. They've got a great retirement plan, great benefits. So they're, in a sense, they're paying your bills, and then you've got extra money coming in at the end of the month and you're like, what do I do with this money, right? So bottom line is you're gonna have to learn how to invest that money. And so understanding how the laws of exponential growth work with percentage rates and not touching that money as it's growing is very important to understand. This is how you're gonna be able to potentially get rich. Okay, it's very difficult to see the results in the early years, okay, in the early stages, because when you make your percentage returns, they're not super exciting. Think about it. I've used this example before in previous videos. Think about the whole penny a day doubling concept for 30 days. Remember, in the last video, in the previous video, I told everybody, would you rather have, I polled everybody, I shouldn't say told, I polled everybody, and I said, would you rather have $1 million, option A, or option B, would you rather have the result of taking a penny a day and doubling it for 30 days straight? Which one would you rather have? And the answer is, you'd rather have the penny a day. And you're like, whoa, 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 that doesn't make any sense. How's that possible? Yeah, so after you double a penny on day 2, what do you have? 2 cents, right? You double it again, you have 4 cents, 8 cents. How the heck? I would rather have $1 million. Just give me the $1 million, right? That's the wrong answer. You actually end up with something like $5 million on day 30 if you double a penny a day for 30 days straight. And the reason that I'm telling you this is when you become the investor, because you don't want to start a business. A lot of times when you start a business, you've got the potential to become really rich, right? You see all the people that have done startups, made their companies go public, or just had a nice franchise going and things like that. Some people in business have become very rich doing that, but your question is, how do I do it without having a business? Well, investing. So you have, say, $1,000 and you invest it and you get lucky. In the first year, you make 20% return, okay? So at the end of the first year, you don't touch your money. How much do you have? $1,200. So well, I'm not rich. Okay, so the next year, you put in another $1,000, okay? And you make the same return, okay? So what ends up happening is now you've invested $2,000. Now your first year, you have turned it into $1,200. Now you have $2,200. And now it makes another 20% right after year 2. And so you make 20%, roughly, it's almost another $500. So now you have $2,700. Just run that on an Excel spreadsheet. Put that into a calculator and watch what happens if you invest $1,000 a year for 30 years at 20% return. Watch how much money you end up having at the end of 30 years simply by investing $1,000 per year at a 20% return. I know that's aggressive, but it's not unrealistic. Because in a lot of, say, rental properties, a lot of people put money into real estate, like residential real estate, and they do rentals. It's not unreasonable to make 20% return on your money in residential real estate. That's normal. Some people for a long time, when the stock market had its huge bull run for over a decade, a lot of people that I knew were making 20% or more on average. They were picking good stocks. They were doing really well. And they didn't just have 1,000. They had tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands. There's people I know that had millions invested. So when you make 20% in a year off of $1 million, you make $200,000. Just making $200,000 in a year and not touching it and letting it roll, make another 20%. Now you might make, say, $220,000, right? $240,000 the next year. Imagine if you let that snowball and you let that just keep accumulating, what that can turn out to be. And you say, well, I don't have $1 million. That's crazy. But you can get there. It takes time. So don't think you're going to get rich quick. I'm not interested in selling scammy get rich quick schemes. I'm not into that. I'm into teaching you how to slowly get rich, how to slowly, organically get rich, because that's the money you're going to truly appreciate because you put in the time. You're not going to become such a spendthrift when you realize, wow, in order to make what I have so far, I put in 10 years of my life in investing, or 15 or 20 years, 25 years. Imagine after you've invested for 25 years of your life and you get to a point and you're like, wait a second, now I can afford my dream car finally, but I don't know that I want it. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. Maybe it's a symbol of success and you want to go out and buy it. Nothing wrong with that, if that's what makes you happy. And remember, I want to make this clear. Being rich isn't just money. Being rich is a mindset, okay? So you might have a lot less money than somebody that's got 1,000 times more money than you have. You know, you have a couple $100,000 saved up at the end of whatever. You have $1 million saved up after 20, 30 years. And then you know a guy that's got $200 million that's miserable. Being rich is a mindset. Once you can program your mind to learning how to become fulfilled with the things that you've worked for, the things that you have, with what you have today, and being truly grateful for those things, that in a sense by itself is being rich. And you might say, well, I don't care about that. I just want money. I just want money. Okay, I've been there. Believe me, I was the guy, I would get so sick and tired of people telling me, just be patient, or rich comes from within, and all these things you hear. I get that. But I hate to say it, when you finally get there, and when you've made millions, and you get to the point where you're worth millions of dollars, I can tell you from personal experience, what matters is how much you're enjoying those things. Because ultimately, in the end, we don't keep everything we make, right? You end up dying, and you either give it to your kids, your family, you donate it to charity or whatever. So all that ends up mattering in the end is the impact that you made on earth, right? With your money and with your businesses, or with your, the company that you're working for, or the charities that you've been a part of, things like that. That's all that ends up mattering, right? So if you're trying to figure out how to become rich, make sure that during the journey, right? Life's a journey, not a destination, right? It's a journey. So during the journey, learn to celebrate and have those times in your life where you're actually genuinely happy about all those things you've been working so hard for. You finally get them. You got to learn how to enjoy them. Because if you can't enjoy the first thing, then how the heck are you going to enjoy the second thing and the 10th thing? And who cares if you have $1 billion when you're 80 years old and you're unhappy? Was it really worth your whole life to make $1 billion and be unhappy? Heck, I think I'd rather be broke and at least be happy, right? If that's really what it comes down to, because that's what it's about, is being happy, right? So don't have a goal simply just to accumulate money. I know some people in my life that I'm connected to, that I know that are friends of mine. They're not happy and they have a lot of money. They just haven't learned how to enjoy it. They haven't learned, as Tony Robbins calls it, the art of fulfillment. They haven't learned the art. You have to be able to make happiness out of that if that's what you work for. Otherwise, what the heck do you keep working for money for? Go out and work for happiness. Like, learn how to be happy. And it doesn't take much. Heck, once you figure out what makes you happy, what drives you inside, whether that's just getting a new pet, maybe you want a new cat or a new dog or something like that. Maybe that alone brings you happiness. You don't need $1 million for that, right? Maybe just being able to go with your significant other to the movies once a week and making date night. Maybe that makes you happy, right? Maybe just getting that old 57 Chevy that's all beat up and putting it in your garage and just cranking on it and working and repairing it every single weekend with your friends, having a good time. Maybe that makes you happy. Sometimes it's the simple things in life that make you happy. And the reason I'm telling you about this is, take it from me. There were times in my life that I had made a lot of money, lots of money, okay? I've bought and sold millions of dollars worth of stuff in my life, okay, over the course of my time. It's in the tens of millions over the years, okay? It doesn't necessarily make you happy. You have to find the happiness from within. So it's when you get it, what can you do with it? Okay, so remember, how to get rich without starting a business. If you're not going to be in the business, you're going to be working for a company or whatever, you're going to need to learn how to save, like I always talk about. You got to learn how to save and put some aside, and then you have to become an investor. So start subscribing, go on Google, whatever. Find people that are great financial advisors, people that have had incredible results, whether it's in the stock market, in precious metals, it could be in cryptocurrency, it could be in real estate. Find people that have already made it and become super successful, and emulate them. Look and see what they're doing. Because those people that are uber rich, they're not out there working 40 hours a week like you are. They're working because they want to, right? But they're investing. They're buying and selling companies, right? They're buying and selling massive amounts of stocks. And any move they make, it's just they're just moving money to this. I'm going to invest into this. but they've learned, they've refined it, they've learned how to do it so that if they invest into 10 different things or 50 different things or 100 different things, most of them do well, a couple of them bomb out and they lose on, but at the end they make money, and that's their average rate of return. So you have to learn, in order to get rich without having a business, you have to learn how to become a savvy, good investor. And the great news is you can always start out small. So you don't have to start out with your life savings. Let's say you've got $1,000 saved up. Just take a small percentage of that, invest it into something. Let's say you have $100 to invest. Buy some stocks with it. Buy some gold with it. Buy some cryptocurrency. Buy some real estate, right? You say, well, how the heck do I buy real estate? You'd be surprised. There's a lot of companies now that are putting stuff together. You can invest into startups now for $100. They call them, like, I think it's like micro investing into startups. I'm sure they do it with probably real estate, where you don't have to buy the whole house, you just buy into it, right? You just invest small amounts of money. So learn whatever it is, talk to your financial advisor, find out what you feel is the best. In the end, you've got to feel comfortable with what you're rolling with in your investments, right? And start small. So that way, if you goof up on $100, yeah, that might be a lot of money today, but you can make that back. You can recover from that. But learn your lessons with your small dollars so that when you get big dollars, I'm talking like tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, of millions of dollars someday, you apply all the mistakes you've made with the smaller dollars, you apply them to when you're investing in the big leagues with the big dollars so you don't make those same mistakes. And I'll tell you something, this is a huge nugget. Anytime I invest money and I lose, I learned something, right? I learned something. And I call that my education, my financial investing education. That's my investing education. So I welcome it. Hey, if somebody can figure out how to convince me to invest into something, I'll put a little bit into it. And then I'll lose the money. I'll be like, I knew it. I knew that was a good idea. And I'll remember that. I'll never forget that because it was painful because I lost money. And I'll apply that so the next time a similar situation comes up and now they want $10,000 from me, or they want $50,000, or maybe they want $500,000, whatever number it is, I'm like, yeah, that's just like this thing I did. I remember when I did that with $500 and that was, it didn't feel right. And when I did my research, it still didn't add up. I still ended up doing it anyway. Believe me, it's all just relative. It's all just another zero, right? But it's the same game. You're either playing small or you're playing big, but it's still the same baseball game. You're still swinging the bat and hitting the ball, right? You're still investing. It's just how much money are you putting into it? So when you finally realize that, don't beat yourself up too much because you lost money early. You're going to lose money. There's no investor I know that just wins every single time they invest money. Expect losses, but learn from them. And the more you learn, the more experienced you get, the better you become when you have more money to invest. And then you start making better returns on bigger amounts of money. So anyway, I hope this helped you out. How do you get rich without starting a business? Become that savvy investor. And remember, in life, like I said earlier, you're not going to succeed at every single thing. All the people that have succeeded and become self-made have succeeded because of their failures. So it's okay to fail. Just pick yourself up, right? Dust yourself off. Try again. Keep trying. Keep pushing. Push hard and be the hustler.